Hey miners, welcome back to the channel McNallie Money, the official home of power mining analysis. First things first, Happy New Year to all of our viewers and subscribers. 2024 is now in the rearview mirror, and along with it, our inaugural Q4 Miner Madness trading competition. That's going to be the topic of discussion in today's video, going over the winners, some of the statistics, and the highlights of the competition, along with introducing you guys to Miner Madness 2.0, which kicks off in about a week's time for Q1 of 2025. We've got a lot to go through. Before we get into it, take a second, smash the like button, feel free to subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and let us know in the comment section below what you thought of this first round of Miner Madness, any potential improvements for Miner Madness 2.0, and your 3 picks along with Bitcoin price for the upcoming competition. Now with that being said, let's get into today's video. Okay, guys, so that's right. First podcast of 2025 and a real doozy for you. Anthony, we finished up our Miner Madness trading competition, our inaugural 1.0 edition yesterday afternoon with the conclusion of the 2024 stock trading season. So we wanted to go through the results in today's video, talk about some of the highlights of the competition. We've got some very interesting statistics and give you guys an opportunity to enter the 2.0 version or Miner Madness Q1 trading competition, which is the second version of this exciting online trading event. So Anthony, first things first, Happy New Year. Entering 2025, we're looking forward to the year, to the sector, but it's been a dismal few weeks for the Bitcoin miners as we end out 2024.
Yeah, Happy New Year, Bryce. It has been a challenge for the miners. We've done a number of podcasts in the last couple of weeks. We've seen these mining stocks effectively drop on average, nearly 20% just in the last 2 weeks of December. So when we start going through the details of the performance of some of the people in the competition, just take that into consideration as well. Some of these would have been significantly higher in terms of where they could have finished. And it really was, really sort of like did sort of impact the performance of some of the competitors. If you look at the Bitcoin price, Bitcoin price rallied about 45% in this last 3 months. Only 2 regular North American miners are actually ahead of that. That's Bitdeer and Hut 8. Canaan also were above, but they're generally a supplier of mining equipment. They do have some mining. They were also above, but everybody else was below that number there. So interesting times for some of these mining companies. And maybe, as we highlighted in the last couple of podcasts, maybe we're at the bottom in terms of where the miners are now, and there's maybe a chance in the 2025 we see that sort of uptick that's expected. I was looking through my chart recently, and we sort of had a pullback in July, similar to what we've had, over 5 weeks from sort of like second week in July till September. And we've had that sort of pullback over the last 6 weeks as well. So maybe if we're following patterns, I'm not a technical analyst, so please don't shoot me and the comments. But it seems like we've had that same sort of level of pullback. And then what happened in September was we saw the mining stocks and the Bitcoin price start to rally again then. So this is going to be an interesting period as we go into this first quarter. Bear in mind what we said all about happening in the first quarter with the inauguration of President Trump, maybe some positive news ahead of us.
Yeah, we're definitely expecting Q1 to be a very upbeat quarter for the miners. That's why we're so excited about Miner Madness 2.0. Now, you brought up some interesting price action there. Bitcoin obviously surging through the $100,000 sell wall. We talked about that numerous times on the channel, reaching a high of $108,000 in Q4, and people were definitely celebrating. So last night, Anthony, it looked like the place to be was Michael Saylor's $100,000 yacht party. We've got a few pictures there. Dennis Porter was down there, British Hodl, a number of the people that we've had on the channel represented at this party, but definitely some celebration in the space, despite the miners having a little bit of headwinds in these final few weeks.
Yeah, no, obviously everyone had a good time themselves last night. We'll hopefully make the next party, maybe, Bryce, if we try and get a few more subscribers. We've met Michael Saylor at Nashville, so we were there to listen to his speech. I know you had a photo call with him, but he was there giving another discussion to the whales, and we were fortunate to have whale passes for that conference, so we were able to listen a little bit more detail of where his thoughts were. But yeah, it sounds like it was a great party. Some really big YouTubers as well were there as well. So Crypto actually had an interview with Dennis Porter talking about the strategic reserve. And so the positivity that came out of that there only bodes well for 2025.
Yeah, it most definitely does. So with that being said, let's get into the Q4 results here. So this was an up and down quarter. We talked about the volatility, but when the dust settled, Anthony, there was one winner who came out above everyone else, managing to surpass 113% for the 3-month period. So we'll go through the winners here. We can talk about some of the trends we saw with their selections, with the Bitcoin price itself, but in terms of a 90-day return here, Anthony, the fact that you were able to get over 110% despite this big pullback we saw in excess of 20% on a lot of these minor names, really quite incredible.
Yeah, and when you think about the selection, we talked about the top two miners that performed well, and that was Bitdeer and Hut, and the winner had both of those in his selection as picks 1 and 2. So there was no doubt that he was going to be very high at the table. He selected Cause, which was another strong miner, in terms of finishing with a positive performance. And bear in mind, I think at least half the miners were in negative territory for that 3-month period. So, any miner that finished in positive territory was doing okay. Core certainly was up there, but Bitdeer and Hut sort of led the way. So to have nearly 114% return in 3 months was extraordinary. I mean, bear in mind, there was only about 230 entries who actually received a positive return. So that was well over 80, 90 entries, plus the 80 entries that didn't submit all the requirements to enter the competition. So we had close to 400 initial entries. 80 we tried to get more information from those at the start of the competition, but they didn't respond quick enough. But 230 in positive territory, at least 80 of the competition were outside of positive territory. So that tells you, it was a challenging period. Now, hopefully this next competition will show, more people being able to get into positive territory. We think we may be close to the bottom, but who knows with Bitcoin price? Bitcoin will do what it does there. But again, I reiterate, positive news stories all the way through, and there's a lot more positive news stories happening in 2025 that we've covered already. So great for them there. Bitdeer, as a top performing company, was actually in the top 17 selections for these finishing places. So the top 17 in the competition finishing places had Bitdeer in either their first, second, or third pick. So that tells you the strength of that there. And quite a few in the top 10 also had Hut as part of their picks as well. So having those two in a combination, it really didn't matter what your third pick was, because you'd achieve significant returns with the top two picks. I mean, bear in mind, if we go down to the likes of, if you're in the top 20, you're likely to have been achieving just about 40% and above. So there was the the winner was streets ahead of everybody else, more than 20, nearly 20% ahead of number two. But as we get down to down to 20th position there, we're at 38%. You and me finished, relatively well. I'm quite pleased with our performance as well. You led the analyst table from day one, finishing 29th. And with a return of 27.5%, I finished 43rd with a return of 23.8. And A Trade, who was, he was planning to overtake both of us. He was third in 133rd position with 11% return. So I'm quite pleased to finish where I did there. Positive territory, nice return. And like you said, if you look at 23%, that's a decent return for, never mind for 3 months. That's a decent return for the whole year.
Yeah, interesting you bring that up. I brought the QQQ. This is the top 100 companies on the NASDAQ, the one that MicroStrategy just got included. They were sitting at a 27% return for the entire year in 2024. So you and I managed to almost surpass that in Q4 alone, not to mention TSUF 101, who again was up over 113%, basically tripling the QQQ in a single quarter worth of trading. Now, one observation I wanted to make, Anthony, you talk about Bitdeer overwhelming involvement in the top 18 or 17 accounts there. We did see some other variety on the leaderboard as well, with Hut 8, Cypher, IREN, Bitdeer, CleanSpark, all represented in those top 5 winning accounts. So definitely nice to see the representation. We've got swag from across the mining industry. I think over 250 pieces or items of swag, Anthony, including some M31S What's miners that we're going to be sending out to the winners as well. So an incredible competition. And once again, congrats to the top 5. We had TSUF 101. I call him Tough Stuff. Justin in second place, Crypto Research in third, Hogmet in fourth, and Evergreen Bull MB finishing off the winner's circle in fifth place there. So even at fifth place, Anthony, 94.2% return in the 3-month period. Now, we quickly wanted to mention the analyst leaderboard as well. We've reached out to even more online analysts for Miner Madness 2.0. As you say, Anthony, it was a power mining podium in the first iteration of the competition. You and I finishing first and second and essentially splitting the Bitcoin price that ended the year in the $93,000 range. So it'll be interesting to see if we can hold on to that title as we move into Q1 2025. Now, with that being said, Anthony, we wanted to go through some of the rules here and outline exactly how you can get involved in this competition. This one's going to be starting on January 13th. We're going to be taking closing share prices on January 10th, giving you the opportunity to have about a week more to make those selections, Anthony, running the full duration of Q1 with the same structure that we ran for the first iteration here. So a theoretical $300 investment, $150 being put into your first selection, $100 into your second, and the remaining $50 into your third. In the event of a tie, Bitcoin price will be the determining factor. That's why we want you to select your prediction of Bitcoin price at the end of Q1 or March 31st, 2025. So this one bodes to be a very exciting competition. We've already started to receive a number of analyst selections, including Bitcoin Freedom, Rex Finance, Sebastian, Bitcoin Bella, and of course, Bitcoin Mining Stock Guy. So shaping up to be even more eventful in Q1.
Yeah, no, it's looking good. I mean, it's been a great competition. We've had so much traffic going to the website because we've got the live leaderboard on the website, which has been really useful to have. So people can just, check at any time of the day. The leaderboard's there. They can search the name. It also has the analyst leaderboard, so you can see how the YouTube analysts are doing in comparison as well. So yeah, it's been a great first competition, and hopefully the second one will be even bigger. Hopefully attract even more people. So we only had about 5 days for the first competition, had nearly 400 entries. So let's see if we can beat that.
Now, in terms of entries, Anthony, you bring up a great point. So there's 3 different areas you can enter this competition. We put out our initial Miner Madness 2.0 review video a couple of weeks ago. It's the yellow thumbnail displayed on the screen here. You're able to submit your entries on that video. You can also submit in the comment section of this video. Again, as you say, make sure 3 mining companies, they have to be 3 different companies, all involved in Bitcoin mining, plus the Bitcoin price in order to qualify your entry. And you can apply through the pinned tweet on our Power Mining X account on Twitter. So those are the only 3 opportunities to enter the competition. We've already received hundreds and hundreds of applicants, Anthony. Again, prizing will be taken care of by us. We're going to be mailing out the swag to the winners of this competition. And as a special note, the winner of Miner Madness 1.0, we were actually able to snag a ticket to Mining Disrupt, and they're going to be flying down to meet us in Fort Lauderdale for this big mining event. So just a great way to get involved in the community, win yourself some swag, and of course, bragging rights in the online or retail investment community.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. And like you say, still got time to pick. I've not selected mine yet. I'll be doing that probably maybe next week. Sit down and take some time. We've been very busy lately with podcasts, even over the Christmas period. But I'll sit down next week, have a look at the mining stocks, where I think there's value in there, and make some selection from there. But believe you me, if you look at the mining companies that were selected for the first competition, Bitdeer and Hut weren't even in the top 10 selections. So the top 10 selections, I believe from memory, were IREN, CleanSpark, and Bitfarms. And quite a few people, obviously, Bitfarms was in many different portfolios for competition entries, and their share price hasn't really. In fact, it finished in negative territory for the 3 months, so it didn't really help any of those selections. I know Sebastian, one of the analysts, he had Bitfarms in his selections there. Didn't really help him in his plight to be in that sort of like top 50 positions in terms of competition finishing. But maybe Bitfarms is one that you ought to be paying attention to for this next quarter, because operationally, there's only Hive can compete with them in terms of driving Bitcoin from the machines that they have in terms of operational excellence. Maybe they can turn around and get some of those orders in and replacement miners in that Ben was talking about on the last podcast, and get that hash rate back to where it needs to be. I know they've got a plan to get it back up to 21 by mid-2025, then get that done before that. Maybe the market approve that and give them the relevant market price deserved of that. I mean, we've seen, the bigger miners who achieve their targets, how their stock price hasn't been as affected as Bitfarms in the last sort of 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, it's a great point you bring up, talking about some of the smaller, more under the radar miners right now are the ones that have been beaten up, like Bitfarms, like Hive. I know Gryphon, Soluna, a lot of these smaller miners, Anthony, they have the potential for some of those big percentage returns. And we saw that with Soluna specifically on a number of days where they were up 20% plus in a single trading session. So you're exactly right. If you go with the herd mentality, some of the more popular picks, not only do you have to have those picks perform, but you also need some way to stand out from the competition, which is exactly what we saw with Bitdeer in the first round of Miner Madness here. So with that being said, you guys, let us know your thoughts. Put your top 3 selections in the comment section below, along with the Bitcoin price. Again, the rules displayed on the screen if needed. We look very forward to this competition, making this the biggest and best online Bitcoin stock trading competition anywhere in the world. With that being said, we'll see you back here for regular Bitcoin mining news tomorrow. And once again, Happy New Year.